Good morning. Good morning, guys. Good morning. Okay, we are going to make brownies today. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a sheet pan of brownies, and then when they're done, I'm going to cut them into eggs, guys. That's what I'm going to do. So I already started. I started batches, and I'm gonna do another batch while I'm on here with you guys. So first of all, I'm gonna put them in a full sheet pan or a half sheet pan. So I got my half sheet pan with my parchment paper, and I just used clips to hold this down. But let's get started with the mix. Let me get my recipe. Let me get my recipe. Okay, so I'm doubling this. I already have one doubled in here. And I think if I double it again, good morning, Charlotte. I think if I double it again, that'll give me my half sheet pan. Good morning, you. Okay, so we're making homemade brownies, guys. So I'm going to start in here. You're going to need a cup of melted butter. So I'm going to pour that in. Let me get my... I'm just going to melt some stuff in this one, and then I'm going to incorporate into the big bowl. Good morning, Penza. Good morning, Charlotte. I'm on here a little early this morning. I just wanted to get this part done. Okay, and then you're going to need a cup of sugar, granulated sugar. Good morning, Kenza. Good morning, honey. And a cup of brown sugar, guys. A cup of brown sugar and a cup of sugar. And then we're going to incorporate that into the butter. So, a cup of melted butter, a cup of sugar, a cup of brown sugar. This recipe is really easy. It's just a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup, a cup. You'll see. So melt that in that melted butter. Whisk your brown sugar and your sugar together into that melted butter, guys. So this does not need to go in a mixer. You're going to use what God gave you, your hands. You're going to use your hands, guys. All right, so that's that part. Now I'm going to bring my big bowl over. You want to do the butter and the sugar and the brown sugar in a separate bowl. And then I'm going to bring my other bowl over that I already started a double bath, which is right here. So now that I got this in here, I'm going to get one spoon. Let's see. This is all you're going to need, a wooden spoon. So I'm going to pour this into here. And we're going to make sure it's clean. Get all your goodness out of there. Scrape that bowl clean. Get everything out, guys. Okay. So now you're going to need, I'm going to push that aside a minute. You're going to need 4 eggs. Make sure you break it into, I'm going to stick this up here so you can see what I'm doing. Make sure you do it in a separate bowl. You don't want any eggshells. Large eggs preferred. If you only have small, add an extra egg or 2, guys. Good morning, Sheena. Good morning, Baby Burger. So you need 4 eggs. 4 eggs, guys. Okay, so that down. And put your 4 eggs in. And then we're going to give them a little stir in here with all this other stuff. Get that arm going, guys. It's morning. Hi, Mimi. We're making homemade brownies, guys. Homemade brownies. I want to cut them into Easter eggs. Hi, Heartney. So I want to do a sheep hen. So I am doubling this. Hopefully I get... Hi, Manax. Hi, Lorianne. Okay, so we got the eggs in there, 4 eggs. And then you need, remember when I said a cup of flour going in. A cup of cocoa going in. Everything is a cup. All right, now we're going to stir that in. Just watch your cocoa, because you know, cocoa will get you. That cocoa and flour will get you. Now, I gotta put the vanilla in and one other item, but I want to get this stirred in first. And if you know anything about cocoa, that is the hardest thing to incorporate, because it's like cornstarch. It's just so airy. Just keep working it in, guys. Okay, I'm going to stop there for a minute. And we're going to need, oh, I got to get the baking soda. Hold on a minute, guys. Okay, so we need a half teaspoon of baking soda. Sprinkle that all around on the top. Half a teaspoon of baking soda. A dash of salt. There's a dash of salt. Good morning, guys. Morning, Nana Helen. Good morning, Turban. And then you're going to need a teaspoon of vanilla. Hi, Tamara. And I always give it a little extra for goodness, guys. A little extra for goodness. So I'm going to do like a teaspoon and a half. Little extra for goodness. All right, now we're going to incorporate that. And we're going to get it all stirred in. Quarter teaspoon. Oh, wait, let me think. Quarter teaspoon. That's right. I'm thinking in my head. Hi, MM. Hi, sis. I hope you're feeling better today. A quarter, 3/4, a quarter. Yeah, I'm right. I'm going to add a little bit more baking powder or baking soda in, guys. I doubled my recipe. So my recipe was for an 8x8. Yeah. I got it. I don't want to mess them up. Okay, so just keep stirring this. homemade brownies. Gotta have homemade brownies. I have one grandson, this is his absolute favorite, is brownies. So, my husband said, why don't you make brownie eggs? So, that's what we're doing. My Liam is about brownies. And what else is his favorite? He likes brownies, and he likes apple turnovers, cherry turnovers, apple pie. That's Liam. His birthday cakes usually consist of brownies, a brownie cake, or a chocolate chip cake. Good morning, everybody. Hey, sis, how are you? I'm making homemade brownies. Homemade brownies this morning. All right. I think that's all incorporated. And you want to heat your oven at 350. And if you're doing an 8x8 pan, it only takes 20 minutes. But I'm going to set this at 20, and we're going to start watching. Probably, I'm going to let it go a little bit longer, but we'll start watching it. Anyway, I have a half a sheet pan here, guys. And I have the sides bent over. And I'm just going to start putting this on here. We start spreading this out. Somebody asked me the other day where I got these little clips from. You can get them from the Dollar Tree, guys. You can get them from the Dollar Tree. It just holds your paper still until you get everything. And then you just wash them. You know, if something touches it, you just wash them. I just throw it in my dishwasher. So try to get it even, and then we're going to scrape this bowl. Get everything out of this bowl. So I'm trying to get everything done that I need for Easter, because like I told you guys, we're celebrating Easter on Saturday. And Aiden will be home with his girlfriend, and stuff like this they can take back to their dorms, to college with them. They want to take some brownies or whatever. Okay. Use that finger, get it all off. Get it all off. Today's my cousin's birthday, Christine. If you're out there, happy birthday. I hope you have the best birthday ever. Okay, guys, so I have my oven set at 350. I'm going to take my clips off, get the chocolate off of it. I only got a little tip on there. Okay, so that looks pretty even. Looks pretty even. Looks pretty even. Alright, so in they go for 350. I'm going to give them a little shake. Now once you take your clips off, it's not going to... Why does that keep doing Hi, Emily. I'm going to give them a little shake and make sure they're the way I want them. And in they go. Alexa, set the timer for 20 minutes. Okay, so for 20 minutes. Now what are we going to do?
20 minutes. Starting now.
I have a drink of my coffee. Good morning, Emily. Good morning, Colette.
Sorry, I don't have an answer for that.
Good morning, Blondie.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Good morning, Krista. Good morning, Michael. So anyway, guys, if you want to do an 8x8 pan, I doubled this. So if you only want to do an 8x8 pan, good morning, sweetheart. Instead of a cup, it's a half. So if you only want to do an 8x8, it would be a half a cup of sugar, a half a cup of brown sugar, a half a cup of melted butter. Midday for me, but morning. Where are you from? Oh my goodness. Wow. I have a friend that watches me. She's from South Korea. So it's really late there. It'd be like, what, 1 in the morning, I think? Anyhow, well, thank you for watching me. Europe, yeah. I have a niece that lives in London. So it's 3 p.m. for you, yeah. Yeah, my niece lives in, well, actually she lives in Bath, is where she lives, in Bath. (1 p.m. in the UK). Yeah, she always, she went to college here in Myrtle Beach, and she always says to me, she hasn't been home for a long time, and she says, I need to come back across the pond to home and see my alma mater. So yeah. Hi, Lori. So if you guys want to make a 8x8 pan, it's a half a cup of sugar, a half a cup of brown sugar, and a half a cup of melted butter. And then it would be 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 2 eggs, a half a cup of flour, and a half a cup of unsweetened cocoa, a dash of salt, and 1/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda. So, and that would be an 8x8 pan. Oh, you lived in Myrtle Beach for 5 years. I loved it there, but I couldn't. Live there. If I could, I would come back. I live in Surfside, which is the southern part of Myrtle. And we've been here now for 16 years. 16 years we've been here now. We're originally from Pennsylvania, Indiana, PA. It's a little small town. They have a university there. It's called Indiana University of Pennsylvania. I lived in Arrowhead, 5 minutes from the mall. Oh yeah, I know where Arrowhead is. I know where Arrowhead is. It has grown here. So many homes and housing developments is just growing and growing and growing. They actually have to build more schools to keep up. We had so many people move here after COVID. The southern states got hit big time. South Carolina, Georgia, Florida. It's very crowded. Yes, very crowded here. Now, in the off season, it's still nice, but during the season, wow. Can I read the recipe? Absolutely. Okay, so I doubled this. I'm going to give you the double recipe, and I 4 times it to get a half a sheet pan because I want to make Easter eggs. So this is a double recipe right here. A cup of sugar, a cup of brown sugar, a cup of melted butter. Mix that all together. Then you need 4 eggs, a teaspoon of vanilla with a little extra for goodness, a cup of flour, a cup of unsweetened cocoa, a dash of salt, and a half a teaspoon of baking soda. Now, if you want to put that in a 9x13, that batch will do a 9x13. I needed a half sheet pan, so I did it again. So I've done this twice, that recipe. If you only want it for an 8x8 pan, which is a smaller pan, it's for homemade brownies. If you want an 8x8 pan for a smaller person, you know, like if there's only 2 of you or 1 of you, you could freeze some of it. So for an 8x8 pan, you would need a half a cup of sugar, a half a cup of brown sugar, and a half a cup of butter. 1 teaspoon of vanilla, again, 2 eggs, a half a cup of flour, a half a cup of unsweetened cocoa, a dash of salt, and a 1/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda, and that would make an 8x8 pan. Now, if you're only doing an 8x8 pan, hello, Squirt family. If you're only doing an 8x8 pan, it only takes about 20 minutes for it to bake. Now, I did this twice, and I have it on a half sheet pan. I did set my timer for 20 minutes, but I'm going to check it. It might have to go like 30. I don't want it to go, I don't want them, you know, when you make brownies, sometimes they tend to cook more even after you take them out of the oven because the temperature is so hot, so I don't want them to get hard. I want them to be a soft brownie. Hi, user. So after they're done baking, I'm going to take this cutter and I'm going to go along and I'm going to cut eggs. And then people have asked me what I'm going to do with the stuff that's left over. I'm going to ball them up and make truffles. So I'll get 2 Easter things out of 1 recipe. And what I'll do is I'll just ball up the dough. I'll ball up the dough. Thank you, Krista. I'll ball up the dough and I'll use my, where's my scoop? Not that one. I have too many scoops. I'll use this baby one. It's the smallest scoop they have for the Pampered Chef. I'll use this scoop with the things that are extra, and I'll scoop them out, and I'm going to put them on another pan, and I'll stick them in the freezer, and then I will melt some chocolate, and I'll dip them. And so I'll end up with two recipes out of 1 thing. So I'll get my eggs, and then I was thinking about taking, I don't know, I haven't ever done this before, but I was thinking about taking my tablespoon. I think that might be too big. I might have to use a teaspoon, or maybe a 3/4, and push it in the middle, and then put some icing. It would kind of look like a deviled egg, a chocolate deviled egg, but I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Hello, Valbonia fan. I don't want to say your name wrong, but hello, hun. So I think this one's too big. Maybe this one. Maybe the half of a tablespoon. If I indent it. So I'm thinking about, hi Michelle, I'm thinking about indenting a little bit whenever I go to decorate them. And put like a swirly in it. Or I'll make icing. I'll make a royal icing and drizzle and do the eggs that way. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. Hi, Jamie. I just wanted to get them baked and cut. And then Friday, I will be on here a lot on Friday because I made that roll cake yesterday. I don't know if you guys were on here. Anyway, I made that. Hi. It was a sponge cake, and I put carrots on it. So I rolled it up. It's in the freezer. I'll pull it out Friday morning, and then I'll decorate. I'll pull these. Once I cut these, I will package them and put them in the freezer, and then I'll pull them back out Friday. Also on Friday, I have to make my pies, and what else will I be doing? I have to make my cheese ball. I might make my cheese ball on Thursday and just get it done. It'll be fine. Because like I said, we're doing Easter on Saturday. So I have to have everything done Friday. So Friday I'll be on here for a long time decorating and figuring out what I'm going to do. I know I've done my sugar cookies on here before, but I am going to do a small thing of sugar cookies as well because my grandkids love them. And so I'll be doing those, and I didn't know if I wanted to do a big pie or fried pies. I'm deciding. And I'm going to try to talk my husband into making cinnamon rolls. That was the other thing. And that would be for Easter morning, a real Easter morning. Saturday we're doing Easter, but Sunday my grandson will have to go back to college. So they're going to wake up and do early mass, and then we'll go do that, and then we'll go back to my daughter's house to say goodbye to him. So I'd like to have some cinnamon rolls for Easter morning for everybody to dive into and have some cinnamon rolls before he heads back his 5-hour journey back to college. Hi, Pat. We're waiting on brownies, guys. If you want the recipe, I'll read it to you again. It is a cup of sugar, a cup of brown sugar, a cup of melted butter. Whisk that together. And then you need a teaspoon of vanilla, 4 eggs, a cup of flour, a cup of unsweetened cocoa, a dash of salt, and a half a teaspoon of baking soda. You need to bake that at 350 and for about 20-25 minutes. I have my timer set for 20. And then people on here asked me what I was going to do with my extras. Hi, Junior. After I cut these out, I'm going to ball them up and make them into truffles, guys. I'm going to ball them up and make them into truffles. So I will end up with 2 desserts out of 1 recipe. So, and I made this recipe twice. If you want to cut it in half, you can cut it in half. So you can have an 8x8 pan. So that would, if you cut it in half, it would be a half a cup of sugar, a half a cup of brown sugar, a half a cup of butter, 2 eggs, a half a cup of flour, a half a cup of unsweetened cocoa, teaspoon of vanilla, a dash of salt, and a 1/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda, and that will give you an 8x8 pan, and that definitely only cooks for 20 minutes. So that was the recipe that I had, and then I I doubled it, and I made a batch, and then I was like, okay, now I'm going to get on and I'm going to make another double batch, and that's how I ended up making my half a sheet pan. And they're in the oven. Let me see how many minutes we have. Alexa, how many minutes is on my timer? Alexa, we have 4 minutes. 4 minutes, guys.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
4 more minutes, and we'll see what they look like. So what is everybody making for Easter in their part of the world? What is your guys' favorite? My daughter's doing all the cooking. I'm doing all the desserts. Come on, guys, tell me what your favorite is. I think I will just color eggs, and that's it. Keep it simple. There you go. There you go. I don't know if we're having, usually we have lamb. I don't know what she's cooking. I didn't ask her. We usually try to do 2 meats. Like at Christmas, we do a turkey and a ham. Easter, usually a ham and some lamb. But I don't know what she's doing. And we definitely have to have homemade mac and cheese. But I am making deviled eggs. I am making deviled eggs. My list was deviled eggs, desserts, a meat and cheese tray, the cheese ball, and soda. I think that was it. That was my list. Desserts, deviled eggs, cheese ball, meat and cheese tray, and soda. And she's doing the rest. So she'll make buns, probably mashed potatoes, definitely macaroni and cheese because that's a staple. And I don't know what else she'll make. Probably asparagus. We'll probably have asparagus. I don't know until I get over there. Yes, it will be a full table. Definitely a full table of food. I will take pictures and post for sure. We have to have 1 table for desserts and 1 table for well, they do a side table for the meat and cheese and then cheese ball. The kids will dive into that as soon as I walk into the door, and then we'll put all the desserts in the front office area until after we eat dinner, and then we'll shuffle it all out to the big room. Good morning, Kay. I'm just on here chit-chatting what everybody's going to do for Easter. So it's going to be different for us this year because we're doing it Saturday Easter. And then we'll just do morning mass and then say goodbye to Aiden. I can't believe he's in college. He's got 1 year almost down, so he'll be done in May, and he'll come back. We're down to 1 minute, guys, and then we'll check. Let me get my poker. Get my poker. We'll see what they look like. Hey, plant lover. You're right, Krista. So, if they're done, I'm gonna start cutting these, and then I'll just let them sit, and then the other stuff I'm gonna put into a bowl. do you have a Pacific brand of cocoa? I like Hershey's. I mean, any of them is fine, but I do like Hershey's cocoa. But any of them is fine, really. I'm not really. I do like Hershey's, though. I mean, if I can't get it, Alexa, stop. If I can't get it, then I'll just get, Nestle's or whatever. I mean, I've even used Walmart's brand. Alexa, stop. Let's take a peek, guys. Oh, they're not done. Alexa, stop. Alexa, set the timer for 10 minutes. They are definitely not done. And when I said, what am I making? Hey, I'm making homemade brownies. And I'm going to cut them into Easter eggs. I'm going to cut them into Easter eggs, and then whatever's left, I'm going to make those into truffles. Alexa does not listen, you're right. No, she's listening now because she just lit up. So remember when I told you to make sure to try to get it even? I definitely did not get it even. No, one side's a little higher than the other, but that's okay. It's all good. It's all good. Nothing to fret about. But the house smells good. Hey, KB Brandon, the house smells like decadent chocolate. Now, you guys can also add, if you have espresso powder and you want that chocolate to pop, you can add like a tablespoon of espresso powder into your batter, and it'll make your chocolate come out more. If you, like, say you don't have a really good chocolate, maybe an off-brand, you can put a tablespoon of, it doesn't have to be espresso, it could be instant coffee if you want. You can put that in there and it'll make your chocolate pop. Yeah, right. You're right. And hopefully, I don't want, when I go to cut these, hopefully this will go down in it because it looks a little high on one end. So I don't know if that's going to go through or not. But if it doesn't matter. I'll just use it on the end that it will go through, and then we'll have more truffles. That's what we'll have. I hear my neighbor's dogs barking. Yep, I can read the recipe again. Okay, guys, so I did a cup of sugar, a cup of brown sugar, and a cup of melted butter. And then it is 1 teaspoon of vanilla with a little extra for goodness, 4 eggs, a cup of flour, a cup of unsweetened cocoa, a dash of salt, and a half a teaspoon of baking soda. And that was it. So that's a double batch. You can cut it in half and make a smaller batch if you want. Tell Big Daddy I said hi. I will, Kay, I will. So I have you guys on TikTok and I have you guys on Facebook, and that is our friend from Decatur, Illinois. And we call my husband Big Daddy, so that's who she's referring to. He's doing good. He's doing good. And somebody asked me on here yesterday, do you go to Starbucks every day? And I said, no. This is a Starbucks cup, and I make my own Starbucks every day. So I know how to make it, and I just fill it up with ice here, and I make an espresso. And then I put in 2 scoops of chocolate protein powder, and I blend it up, and then I add more ice, and then I put in 3 pumps of mint chocolate, Girl Scout mint chocolate, sugar-free, and then I top it off with some heavy cream, and that's it. That's my drink, and I drink it every day. Every day. sometimes I just drink a regular protein shake. We went on a cruise and I took my stuff with me. And I was sitting at the table. And I pulled my cup out and I pulled my protein out and I was sitting there and I started using my whisk and the waiter went by and he was like, "Did you bring everything?" I said, "Yes, I did, because I don't want to have my morning coffee." You know, if you get used to something, you want to have all your stuff with you. Yep, we're making homemade brownies and I'm going to turn them into Easter eggs. And then after I cut them, whatever is left, I'm going to make those into truffles. And so for the truffle, I'm just going to roll up the brownie batter, and I'm going to use my small scooper, and then I'm going to put them in the freezer, and I'm going to dip them into chocolate. And then I'll just decorate the top of the balls with some Easter color. Yeah. So that's all I'm going to do. So there will be no waste. There'll be no waste. So we'll have eggs, and then we'll have truffles out of brownies. So that's pretty good. So that'll be 2 desserts for Easter. And like I said, I'll come back on Friday, and I'm going to decorate all my stuff on Friday. So yesterday I made a sponge cake and decorated it with carrots. And on the inside of it, it's going to have chocolate icing. So like a chocolate mousse is what I'm going to put on the inside of it. And then I'm going to make pie. I don't know what kind of pie yet. I think probably apple. I'm going to do an apple pie. And I'm trying to decide what other stuff. Because we have a cake, we'll have the brownies, we'll have the truffles, sugar cookies for sure. We gotta be sugar cookies, at least one batch. And maybe turnovers. I might make some turnovers. Hi, Francis. My grandkids love apple and cherry turnovers. I've made them for years, and usually almost every holiday we have a turnover. I don't know why. It's just a staple. It's just a staple in our family. Yep, we're making homemade brownies today, guys. I know this is boring. What else are you guys making for Easter? What's a turnover? It's a puff pastry, and it's folded like a triangle like this. So like this. And it's a puff pastry, and you fill it with either apple or cherry filling. And you make little cuts on, you press the edges together like you would a pierogi, and you cut little slits in the top, and you sprinkle it with sugar, and you bake it for like 20 minutes. They look like a pie, but it's a real flaky, it's a pastry. Definitely, they're definitely yummy. Definitely yummy. But I don't know why it's a staple in our family. I think because my husband liked them, and then I made them for my kids, and now my grandkids. So it's just something that's carried on and on and on and on. And my middle grandson, that's one of his favorites. So are the brownies. He is not a cake person, and I do a lot of cakes, but for his birthday, he would always get a cookie cake or a brownie cake. And so I would build his cakes up with either cookies or brownies. He didn't want cake, for sure. I don't know if I have another cake coming up. Well, we do have one in April, and then we'll have one in May. My husband turns 6, 7, and my grandkids are like, we're gonna have a 6, 7 birthday party for Pap. I was like, okay. So everything will be 6, 7 for his birthday. The kids are getting a kick out of it. So every time they see him lately, they say to him, Pap, you're gonna be 6, 7. It means absolutely nothing, but these kids, I don't know. My son works at he at a crab house down here, and he was like, the kids that come in there that do that, it's unreal. Alexa, stop. Let me take a peek, guys. I think another 5 minutes and we'll have her done. Alexa, set the timer for 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Starting now.
Yeah, my grandson is not a cake person. He is definitely not a cake person. The rest of them are, I asked them the other day what they wanted for Easter when the twins were here. And Paisley said, Nay, can you make cannolis? I said, I am not making cannolis for Easter. And Aubriella, she's like, I'll take anything. Paisley wanted cannolis, but I'm not making cannolis. I was trying to think of things to make so Aiden, our oldest, could take stuff back to college with him. At Christmas time, I sent him home with bags of cookies. Hi, Lou. We're just waiting on these brownies. I probably should have made a batch and baked them and then put another batch in and had it done for you guys, but I wasn't thinking. I told my husband, I'm going to get on early. Or I should have had something else I could have did while I was on here. Did everybody get all their Easter stuff bought? I'm watching the chat. Hi, Omari. Hi, Virginia. Well, as soon as these brownies are done, I'm going to cut them. I wanted to show you guys how to cut them, but I don't want to keep you guys on here a lot longer. Same to you. Happy Easter, Krista. I was hoping these would be done, but they're not going to be done. I wanted to be able to cut them on here, but I don't know. We're just waiting. We're waiting. It's like the time sometimes feels like it's just standing still. So we'll see. I'm going to bring them out in 1 minute and see. Hopefully they'll be done. If you guys are ever on Amazon, this is one of my... Same to you, Chris, the Happy Easter. This is one of my lovely finds on Amazon, and they're not expensive. These silicone things, I love this thing. I've actually, well, they have wooden ones now. They're a little bit more expensive, but I think these are like $6. But I love that thing. I mean, you could flip them anywhere. You can put them on the counters. You can You can do anything with them, and you can just throw them right in the dishwasher. But I love these things. Best ones ever. You find those little things on Amazon. I've actually gifted these to people because I'm impressed with them. So, definitely impressed with them. Because, I mean, I've seen people set hot pans on their granite. I don't like to do that. I mean, they say you can, but I don't want to do that. Yeah, they say you can set them on here, but I'd be afraid. I've seen people do it. Oh, we're getting ready to ding. We're getting ready to ding. Hopefully they're done. Alexa, stop. Okay, guys, let's take a peek at these. They got the nice crunch on the top. They got the nice crunch on the top. Yep, they're done. Yes, we got it. Okay, so that's what they'll look like. That's what they'll look like, guys. And then I'm just going to show you one because this is what I wanted to do. I'm just going to take this cutter. It's very hot. And I'm just going to push it down in. Okay. And that's what, whoop. We're good. And that's what we're going to have. And then I'm going to freeze them until Friday. And then, so on Friday, I'll bring them out and I'll decorate them. But I left a little piece in here, so let's see here. We'll give them a taste. They're delicious. And then the pieces that are left over, like right here, I'll just crumble all this up. I'm just going to crumble these up like this. And this is what I'm going to do with these. So whatever's left, I'm going to roll into balls. And then I'm going to, hi Sandy, I'm going to dip them into chocolate. So after the eggs, I'm going to dip these into chocolate and we'll have truffles and then we'll have eggs. And that's it, guys. This is what I'm going to make. So I'm going to let these cool for a little while. And then I'm going to finish cutting them out. And then I'm going to make my balls, and I'll have everything ready for Friday. And when I come back on Friday, we'll decorate and do everything that we need to get done. Okay? So I hope you guys enjoy. I hope you have a good day. And the recipe one last time. A cup of sugar, a cup of brown sugar, a cup of melted butter, whisked together. 4 eggs, a cup of flour, a cup of unsweetened cocoa, a dash of salt, a half a teaspoon of baking soda, and a teaspoon of vanilla with a little extra for goodness. Bake at 350, and it took 35 minutes for a half sheet pan. 35 minutes. Okay, guys, I'll talk to you later. I hope you all have a good day. Like, follow, share. Bye. Bye, Kay.